The primate wakes up. Before he even remembers his own name, his thumb already knows the path, screen, light, notification. The ritual begins before thought. The primate says he'll just check one thing, but time leaks through his fingers like digital sand. 5 minutes become 50, and the sun mocks him through the window. The primate can open 10 tabs and finish none. The primate can listen to 3 audios and understand 0. The primate can lose an entire morning without realizing he's awake. He calls it routine, but it's really a silent ceremony in honor of stimulation. The primate wants focus, but serves the noise. He wants clarity, yet collects distractions like invisible trophies. The world taught him to confuse movement with progress, and every tap feels like a step, until he notices he's been running in circles. The primate isn't weak, he's modern, and the price of living in the now is forgetting why he lives at all. And here lies the paradox. The primate knows that reading, exercising, or simply sitting still would make him feel better. Yet he still chooses the easy spark, the quick hit, the glitter that promises everything and delivers nothing. Why? Why do some primates seem driven to face discomfort every day, while others postpone even the things they love? And the question echoing through every modern mind is this: can the primate trick his own brain into liking the things that hurt and find pleasure in what actually transforms him? The primate lives in the most comfortable age in history, and yet he's never been so tired. Nothing hurts and still everything feels heavy. He has more technology, more free time, more choices than ever before. And somehow he's exhausted by existence itself. The primate doesn't run from work. He runs from friction. From a video that takes 2 seconds to load. From a thought that takes patience to form. From silence that feels too wide to cross. The truth is, the primate's brain has been trained to chase easy bananas, fast, sweet, and always within reach. But the more he grabs those instant bananas, the less flavor he finds in the real ones. The natural bananas, the ones that require effort, creation, discipline, now taste bland, slow, and strangely empty. The primate calls it lack of motivation. Science calls it dopamine tolerance. The more he feeds on quick stimulation, the less pleasure he gets from what truly grows him. The world sold the primate a lie. That comfort was the reward. But nobody told him comfort comes with a cost. Because when everything comes easy, the brain goes numb. And a numb brain dreams of everything except what matters. The primate believes he needs more pleasure. But what he really needs are bananas with meaning. Bananas that require climbing, not delivery. And here's the question that keeps him awake. If easy pleasure numbs the brain, what exactly happens inside when the primate lives on artificial bananas? What rewires, what fades, what changes? And is there a way to retrain the brain so that effort itself starts to taste sweet again? The primate's brain is an ancient machine trying to survive in a modern circus. It was built to hunt, explore, climb for food, not to process 1,000 flashing lights at once. Every time the primate opens an app, his brain reacts like it's found a tree full of golden bananas. Colors, sounds, motion, all screaming, "This matters! This is life!" But when the tree of bananas is always within reach, the brain stops running. It adapts. And what once felt like excitement becomes background noise. Dopamine, once a compass, turns into static. It wasn't meant to be on all the time. It was meant to spark only when something is worth chasing. Picture the primate's brain as a scale. On one side, tiny bursts of pleasure, videos, likes, sugar, validation. On the other, slow, demanding tasks. Studying, building, creating. The scale tips toward the lightest side every single time. The more quick pleasure he consumes, the less joy he feels from real progress. Dopamine spikes so high that the brain, trying to protect itself, turns down the volume. It's like listening to loud music for too long. After a while, the song loses meaning and silence starts to hurt. So when the primate tries to focus, to create, to think, his brain, addicted to the light show, looks at the effort and yawns. The problem isn't weakness, it's overload. The primate isn't broken, he's out of tune. And to hear life again, he'll have to turn the pleasure down. But how? How can the primate teach his brain to enjoy the silence, to find meaning in the climb, and taste sweetness in the effort itself? Maybe the answer isn't in quitting pleasure, but in resetting the system. And that's where the hardest experiment begins, the dopamine detox. The primate decides to step away from the digital jungle. One day, no notifications, no games, no instant rewards. At first, the silence feels like a desert. The brain, used to fireworks, complains, "Where are my bananas?" Hours crawl by. Boredom moves like a lost animal. But then something strange happens. By midday, the primate starts to feel calm. With no artificial bananas, the brain begins to remember the taste of the real ones. Suddenly, reading doesn't feel like torture. A walk feels like an ancient kind of pleasure. The primate realizes the problem was never dopamine. It was the diet. He'd been feeding on mental candy while his brain just wanted real fruit. Over time, silence stops being punishment and becomes clarity. Focus returns, slow but steady. And every small task completed brings a pure kind of satisfaction. clean, chemical-free joy. The primate understands now. Detox isn't about removing pleasure. It's about retraining the brain, teaching it to release dopamine after effort, not before it. Gradually, the primate trades instant pleasure for the deeper joy of progress, and the sweetest banana of all becomes the one he climbs for. But one question remains. If effort now feels good, why is it still so easy to fall back into the old jungle? The brain has learned a new path, but the old one still glows, tempting as ever. The jungle never changes. What changes is the primate who learns to walk through it without losing himself, and that's where the final experiment begins. The mental trick that turns pain into pleasure. The primate once believed pain was the enemy. Now he knows it's the messenger. Pain doesn't come to punish. It comes to whisper. This is where growth begins. At first, the primate still hesitates. The brain screams for shortcuts, for instant bananas, but he waits, and something shifts. Effort, once bitter, starts to taste like victory. Sweat begins to smell like purpose. Discomfort transforms into the signal of progress. Science explains it clearly. When the brain starts linking dopamine to effort, it rewrites its own reward system. Pain stops being an obstacle and becomes fuel. Neuroscientists call it neuroplasticity. The primate calls it freedom. Now every challenge is a new tree to climb. Every small step, a real banana with a flavor no notification can ever replicate. The primate no longer runs from pain. He studies it. He listens to it. He uses it. Because he's discovered the mental trick that changes everything. To find pleasure in the process, not the promise. And the more he practices, the more he realizes that paradise isn't a place full of easy bananas. It's a state of mind that finally learned to enjoy the climb. But even with a rewired brain, the jungle doesn't stop calling. It's still loud, tempting, full of shortcuts that promise more, faster, now. The real challenge isn't escaping the jungle. It's walking through it without losing yourself again. And that's where the final realization begins. The silent freedom of the primate who no longer chases, but simply lives. The jungle hasn't changed. The screens still glow, the notifications still call, and the easy bananas still hang everywhere. But the primate has changed. He's learned to walk through the noise without losing his rhythm, to watch desire without becoming its prisoner, to choose which banana is worth the climb, and ignore the ones that only taste like sugar. He realizes freedom was never outside. It was always the space between impulse and choice, between the automatic click and the conscious pause. Now he lives differently. He doesn't run from pleasure, but he no longer chases it. He works in peace, fails without guilt, breathes without hurry, and every time he wins a quiet battle within, he feels something rare, simple, true, presence. The digital jungle didn't disappear, but for the first time, the primate walks through it in silence, free, calm, awake. Has your brain ever done this too? Tell me in the comments. And remember, every time you resist the easy banana, the primate within you grows stronger.